I made Hisuian Avalugg viable in Generation 9, but by no means I am warning you right now that this means this Pokemon is good. In fact, it's probably arguably the worst Hisuian form. To start off, let us look at the 3 abilities Hisuian Avalugg has: Strong Jaw, Ice Body, and Sturdy. Let me tell you guys right now, because of Avalugg's awful special defense stat, horrible typing, and horrible speed, Avalugg is best known as a bulky attacker and less known as a wall. Yeah, sure, it gets moves like Stealth Rocks, Rapid Spin, but Great Tusk does a better job at that anyways. Looking past that, those 3 abilities are all good in its own ways, but Strong Jaw and Ice Body stand out to me the most. I'll get to Ice Body a bit later, and I swear it'll make sense why it's good, but Strong Jaw allows for biting moves to have a 1.5 times multiplier damage to them. This means a move like Ice Fang, which traditionally does 65 base damage, can do around 97.5 base damage, plus Stab Ice plus 120 attack can be brutal. It also helps that it's 90% accurate compared to its signature move of Mountain Gale, which is only 80% accurate, but the choice can still be yours. Ice Fang may be more accurate, but Mountain Gale does more damage and has a 30% chance to flinch. Crunch is also another solid move that gets boosted by the Strong Jaw ability. Hisuian Avalugg gets a multitude of other coverage moves ranging from Body Press, Earthquake to Heavy Slam and more. The choices are really up to you to what you want the moveset to be, most likely it being a max HP and max attacker anyways for a bulky set. Moving on to items, there are actually a lot of viable items for this Pokemon, particularly the berries. Yeah sure, Life Orb and Choice Band, the generic items, and Choice Band to a lesser degree are obviously solid options, and that Life Orb I want to get back to you guys later, but for right now, let's look at the berries more specifically. Because of that horrendous typing of Ice and Rock, arguably the worst in the game, it has a multitude of 4 times weaknesses to fighting and steel. A Chompy Berry can really help against those physical fighting type moves. Babry Berry can help against those steel type moves, reducing that 4 times weakness. And those 2 other berries, Colbur and Cassib Berry? Now, why those 2 berries in fact? Well, it's because in the so-called chance you terastallize this sorry Pokemon. I personally believe a Terra Ghost serves as the best option for this Pokemon, and let me explain. It gets an immunity to fighting, and no longer has a 4 times weakness to steel, only having a weakness to dark and ghost. Colbur Berry also helps against those dark type moves, and Cassib Berry can help against those ghost type moves, especially Shadow Balls being thrown around. But I admit, those 2 berries are more niche, and truthfully, I don't know if Avalugg will last that long, so you have to terastallize this thing, which I mean, those 2 berries aren't amazing options to begin with, but those are options nevertheless. Furthermore, a Focus Sash is also not a bad option if you're not running Sturdy and running a Strong Jaw ability. Alright, now that I've gone through Hisuian Avalugg and where I'm coming from in terms of how to use it, let me show you what I thought of a viable or somewhat usable strategy. I bring out Slowking, and before you guys start raging in the comments, let me explain. Slowking is one of 2 Pokemon that get the move Chilly Reception, which allows you to set up the snow and switch out, and the other Pokemon that's able to use this move is Abomasnow. Slowking also gets the move of Trick Room, which is excellent for Hisuian Avalugg to move first in the turn order. The idea that I have is that you could set up a Trick Room and then get off a Chilly Reception into Hisuian Avalugg. With snow coming down, Ice Body turns out to be a solid, viable ability well against those physical attackers that is, and a Life Orb can also be really good. Life Orb takes about 1/10 of your health in exchange for doing 1.3 times more damage with any of your moves, but Ice Body can also help regain about 1/16 of HP per turn underneath the snow, which in short is a fancy way of saying Hisuian Avalugg won't be taking as much damage from a Life Orb underneath the snow using this tactic. To ensure this method also works, an Oblivious Slowking ensures you cannot be taunted, thus it is guaranteed this method will work, and while you will lose Regenerator, you could just slack off, but I mean, if your opponent doesn't see this coming, Regenerator isn't a bad ability. Ice Body Life Orb with a Mountain Gale or Ice Fang underneath snow doing a ton of damage with that attack stat sounds like pure fun. But there is fair criticism to this strategy. Namely, Hisuian Avalugg will only get 3 turns of Trick Room, and it can be fairly predictable depending on the player, and they can thus then use this strategy as they so choose, or just stall out Trick Room and then absolutely obliterate this Glacier Pokemon. There are other Trick Room mons, such as Hatterene and Screamtail and more, but I feel like Slowking felt as the best option, especially with Chilly Reception and Trick Room as both viable moves on this Pokemon. It just really made much more sense on this. There's probably some other strategies that I haven't really thought of, but please be sure to let me know in the comments below if you find some other interesting ways to make Hisuian Avalugg somewhat viable in the Generation 9 metagame. Overall, this Pokemon has not so good look into the competitive metagame, and its poor special defense stat and typing is holding it back. If you want to know more about another Pokemon that is actually having pure domination Pokemon, check out this video over here and subscribe for more competitive content, as I make competitive Pokemon videos like this all the time.